Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With FishingBooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. FishingBooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to FishingBooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today.
Well, all right, welcome back to the Survival of Basic Badass podcast with Kevin and Chuck. Today, we're going to talk about taxes. Now, I know some of you may be saying right now, you know, Chuck, it's about survival and prepping, and, you know, what the hell do taxes have to do with anything? Well, taxes kind of have to do with everything. It kind of all comes down to freedom. And what people don't think about is when somebody takes your money and then gives it back to you in ways that, you know, but they get to decide how you spend it and how you take it. Think about like school taxes where they take your money and then since they're paying for it, they get to decide how to educate your children. You have no say. You have no money left over in order to, you know, do that. Think about your retirement plan. Think about, you know, how you invest that. Then, you know, people don't have that much control. You invest, but they're going to tax it. They're going to take it. And Social Security, right? So they're going to take it out and they decide how it gets spent. They decide, you know, how much you're going to get back, how they invested it over the years. You know, over and over again, people look at their income and they're like, shit, I could do a better job investing than the Social Security program. You know, if I had saved that money, pretty much just gave it back to yourself, you just kept it in the bank, I think you could do better than the Social Security program. They really do a lousy job. But that's the kind of thing. Your healthcare, right? We're all required to have healthcare, and they decide what type of services that healthcare agencies are required to provide. You know, things that we may not agree with, but also things that you just think are ridiculous. Like, oh, well, you know, people should be able to get the free sex change or whatever the hell they want, and you're paying for that, and that's part of your plan. Well, that's just stupid, you know, because you don't have any choice or freedom. And that's kind of what it comes down to. But I think people don't even realize what they pay taxes on, like how big of a problem it is. People think, well, they take money out of my check, and you know that's bad, but you know we all do. I like roads. Well, yeah, but it turns out, you know, roads and fire departments, that really has very little to do with your income tax. But Kevin, what kind of taxes are we even paying? Like, how are we getting robbed?
Chuck, man, we could go on about taxes for hours. It's like one of my biggest. It's something that every time I think about it, I get irate. I get so angry about it. It's just
the blood pressure just goes up.
I'm getting angry right now just thinking about it. So basically, the federal budget in the United States is $3.8 trillion on average per year. Obviously, every year it's a little bit different, but $3.8 trillion.
I think you have some older information. 2021, the government spent $6.82 trillion, yet they only collected 4.05. So that's almost double what you had there. So go on.
Yeah. So you know, a lot of people think about the amount that corporations influence our lives and the amount of the amount of power that they have, and that's true. But the real big boogeyman out there is the federal government. They're the ones that do take your money, regardless of whether you want to pay or not. Now, we all have kind of a social contract that we all agree to pay taxes, and we all get the benefits from the taxes. Of course, that there are a lot of people that don't really pay taxes. Jeff Bezos paid less taxes than you did. I guarantee he paid less taxes. Anybody that's listening, he paid less taxes than you. He actually in 2011, he earned $4,000. He didn't pay any taxes. There's a lot of ways you can get out of paying tax. And let's just be clear, that was legal. He didn't break any laws by doing that. That's how much legally he had to pay. No dollars. Negative $4,000 is what he paid.
Yeah, but you know what the difference is? He's got that kind of money, but I got a full head of hair. See?
That's true.
He can't change that. I mean, I could maybe go out and make some money. He can't grow hair. So, there's that.
That's right. I mean, he can build a giant dick-shaped rocket and shoot himself into space, but he can't use any of that money to actually make his dick bigger.
Right.
So, I got no problems there, so I don't worry about that shit. I don't need to build giant dick rockets, but, I mean, whatever. We're getting sidetracked here, though.
Are we?
So why don't you go through with me here, and let's talk about the different ways that we pay taxes aside of income tax.
All right. Well, the first is the obvious income tax. Then we have now sales tax, right? So we have taxes. Every time we go on Amazon, anywhere we go, we end up paying sales tax, right? That seems like a big thing, but that's 7-8%. You have your other payroll taxes. Think about like Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, whatever, FICA, is it FICA? That's not the right one. Medicare, Medicaid. Yeah. There is another one. I can't recall on
Social Security.
Yeah, is that what it is? Yeah. Then you have taxes on things like that you own. Think of your vehicle registration, your property taxes. Some states will break that down into school and property taxes. Other places will just basically have that combined, where they just call it property taxes. I know in New York on a $250,000 house, I was paying like $8,000 a year, which it's funny for the same value house in North Carolina. It's something like $900 a year. So, I mean, it's definitely relative. And I got to say, I didn't feel like I was getting more for my money in New York. Now, the thing I always heard was, well, it's all snow removal. Snow removal is a big deal. And I'm like, I don't really buy it. Because they did a shitty job with the snow removal. That's what I can tell you.
Yeah, it was never really good. So the highest property tax in the U.S. is in Connecticut.
Okay.
And lowest is in Louisiana. But there's a huge gap. And you can go through a list, for every state, based on highest to lowest or so forth. And, where you live really does play a big part on how much of your money is going to the state government.
Right. Then you have another one called excise taxes. Now, these are separate than your sales tax, but they just kind of want to punish you a little bit. A lot of, like, some of the things would be like cigarettes, alcohol, soda, gasoline. Gasoline is, I think, 18.5 cents a gallon is federal. I know in my state, you combine all the local taxes, put on a gallon of gas, and I think it's 58 cents a gallon goes to the government right off the top. So,
Mhm.
when you tell me, oh, you need my income tax to pay for roads, well, I pay 58 cents a gallon. You can't keep that road going
Right.
for 58 cents a gallon because I feel like it's covered there. Well, yeah, no, but
Right.
we use that money for other things. Well, if we were making it truly apportioned to the individual, you would think that, hey, how much gas I buy relates to how much I'm using the road. And but okay, I digress. There's they say sin taxes, right? Is what a lot of those are. Usually things they say that have harmful side effects, so they're trying to punish you by paying more. I always, they
Right.
always talk about how that's like they tax us on things that are good and they tax us on things that are bad. And they always say, well, I just tax you on the bad things so you'll stop doing it. And then you're like, well, then why are you taxing me on good things? It just doesn't,
Right.
but
Right. Well, that's what they're trying to do. That's what they were trying to do. I don't think it's working out, but they wanted to do 100% tax on AR-15s
yes.
for some reason. AR-15s are like the boogeyman of the government.
And they're
you know
not
what I
even
mean? It's
bad
like
for you.
every time there's a shooting, they always talk about AR-15s. But the fact of the matter is, I don't think most of these people even know what an AR-15 is.
No.
It doesn't matter what kind of weapon is used. They always call it an AR-15.
Yeah, that sounds right.
So,
dude, you can send me off on a crazy road talking about AR-15s and how our government wants to stick it to us. I like that Rittenhouse kid. Remember, he was responsible, not the gun that time. But then anytime somebody,
right.
Somebody goes shoots up a place, then it's it was the gun. Like we don't even know the guy's name.
Yeah.
Like I know it was in the news and they said it and I could have paid attention, but I didn't give a fuck. But the kid who shot up the school when all the cops just stood there like losers, whatever, in Texas.
Dead in Texas.
We don't know that kid's name,
–
but we know he used an AR-15. Because obviously the AR-15 was the problem, not that kid. Or we don't know the name of the kids like mental health professionals, but we know it was an AR-15. Yeah, hey, I'm just saying. But I don't know why you let me get sidetracked, Kevin. I don't even know why we're allowed to mention guns in this podcast because it just sends us back to maybe it's really what people want to hear about anyway. Maybe that's what it comes down to. So anyway, income tax. Now, income tax came about. They wanted to stick it to everybody. We had the 16th Amendment, all right? Because they kept trying to find a way. They were like, well, we can just tax everybody based on their job and we could bring in a lot more money. Things were hurting after the Civil War. We were trying to really recoup from a lot. Turns out if you have to pay for both sides of the battle and then you don't get to take all the spoils to, pay off your war debts, it kind of makes for an expensive war. Civil War kicked our ass. They kept trying to come up with a way for an income tax. So the problem was, in the Constitution, I believe somewhere around Article 9, I get in trouble at work because I'm like, yeah, Article 9 says this. And then they're like, who the hell knows what article is what in the... And I'm like, well, fuck you guys. Read a book. Anyway, so it says that basically the states have to pay their share based on the size, and it has to be like appropriate and relative. And that's where they couldn't do an income tax, and that's why we got the 16th Amendment. The 16th Amendment doesn't say, hey, you can tax income. What it says is that you can tax based on the individual rather than it being like equally divided with the states. And that's where you get into a difference. But to me, we have a progressive tax system, and that's something I think people don't understand. Now, you're like, oh, well, of course, rich people pay more and poor people pay less. That's only fair. Well, that's not exactly what it means. Progressive means that it changes. So the bottom 10% of earners pay one tax rate, and then as we go up, it gets higher and higher. Kevin, you have the breakdown on this?
Yeah. So anything over four or anything below 41,775 pays between 10 and 12% taxes. Any between 41,000 and 89,000, you're looking at 22%. 89 to 170,000, 24%. 164,000 to 209,000 a year, you're paying 32%. And anything over $523,600, you're paying 37% income tax.
Right. Now it gets.
Now, our taxes, our tax code is ridiculously complex, though. So you might be paying that percentage of tax, but there's deductions, and there's things that get added on. So you give to charity, you don't have to pay tax on that money. If you pay attention, any wealthy person has a charitable foundation. That sort of stuff you don't have to pay taxes. Also, if you have stocks and your stocks increase in value, you don't pay taxes on that until you sell the stocks.
Right. They say you realize the gains.
Right. There you go. Perfect. Now, some income tax or some stocks, you don't have to pay income tax when you cash them out. And it's specifically regarding things like college tuition and things like retirement. But, we're really getting in the weeds there when we get into that sort of stuff. If you're not making over $500,000 a year, you probably don't have to worry about too much of those little deductions,
Loopholes.
You do some energy efficient stuff in your house, or you have kids, and there's a couple of deductions here and there, but the truth of the matter is you're not really worrying about it until you're making large amounts of money.
Yeah, I always think now I'm making large amounts of money, and then not really. Yeah, I always think
not really.
Finally made it. I've done it. I do all right, and then it's like no, go back, try harder. And dude, they just the more you work, the more they take. It just hurts and hurts and hurts. I don't know.
Chuck, come on. You got to keep working. There's millions of people on welfare that are counting
on me, and I'm out there bleeding and dying. Yeah, it's dude, it's an ugly world. I got a story for you at the end here this week. The excitement. So anyway, now you're thinking, all right, so they're getting us with our property taxes. They're getting us with our sales taxes. They're getting us with our sin taxes. They're getting us with our licensing fees, right? Now, when you register your car, that kind of stuff, but also, lifetime hunting license. $750 in New York when I was last there. Because I can't give the example in my state because it's like nothing. It's like $150 is the lifetime access. I was like, sign me up. I'm like, shit, that's like normal year hunting in New York. Your fishing licenses. Now tolls on the road, right? That's a tax. We have in this state we have white tax fees. You buy a new refrigerator or something, they charge you like $40 to get rid of the old one, something like that. You have, just like little bullshit where they nickel.
That's why I have 15 old refrigerators in my backyard.
Yes. The tires, right? Anytime they put on a new tire, they charge you like $4 or $5 to, it's just over and over again. Everywhere you go, they're hammering you. And the thing is, you add it up, and you're clearly paying well over 50%, but it's a lot, really, to be honest, it's more like 70%. on the money you make. You're paying in taxes. What it is basically the fees just get stacked on stack. So somebody, a supplier, they pay all kinds of taxes to keep their business open. They'll pay all these taxes. Then they sell their parts and things to the next guy. Next guy puts them all together into a usable product. He's paying taxes on land, buildings, all this stuff. Then he sends the product. The 18-wheeler's paying gas tax. Then they're paying for, all the over-the-road tolls, fees, things to keep a CDL going and that kind of licensing. The product gets delivered to the store. The store's paying taxes to stay open. Then they charge sales tax and hand you the finished product. That product has been taxed to death before it's even gotten to the consumer. And I know you're like, well, you don't have to pay taxes on some of the products, but like I said, every step of the process,
right? And that
form of taxes,
that tax is getting passed on to you as the customer.
Ridiculous, and it just compounds, right? Now, then I would tell you, remember we go back a minute ago, I mentioned all the different fees that we do, that the government spends $6.8 trillion in 2021, yet they only collected $4 trillion. And you're saying, well, Chuck, I feel like there's a discrepancy there. More than or less than 2/3 is being collected on what's going out. How is that possible, Chuck? Please tell us. That's what you're saying right now. Well, I can tell you. Let me tell you about inflation. Inflation is when we just print more money that we don't even fucking have.
Right.
And that's the real tax that you're paying. Because the government's really spending like twice as much as what you think, because they're just fucking robbing you by changing the value of money. Now you're saying, well, Chuck, that's ridiculous. How can they change the value of money? Somebody would have told me something. Well, I'm telling you now. What's happening is they said, hey, you know what? I need more little jingle in my pocket. Could you just print some more? And that got too hard. That's why they were like, oh, coin shortage. We're not going to print anymore. Fuck it. Then they're like, you know what? Just go to my bank account and add another zero at the end. Could you do that? And they're like, yeah, we got you, dude. Don't even worry about it. And that's pretty much how that shit goes on. But the problem is, when that happens, all that money that was in your pocket, it's worth less. Because, it goes back to that analogy of, say there's a piece of pie, right? A pizza. And it's got 8 slices. And everybody, we all like pizza. I get the good toppings on my half, and you guys can have cheese or whatever the hell normal people do. I don't know. Just seems like a mistake to me. Like, why would you not put good shit on it? Like, really, if you don't have
it's not even food anymore.
I mean, why even be alive? God. Anyway, it's not even food. I mean, I don't even know how you, whatever. I mean, maybe if there's enough garlic on there, we might be able to work something out. But anyway, back to the topic at hand. So we have this pizza. It's got 8 pieces. And you want pizza. I have pizza to sell. There's $10 and you have $10. Now, there's 2 people out there and they have, we'll say $10 each, and they both want the pizza. Now, we'll say one guy is Joe Government and the other guy is Kevin. Kevin wants pizza. He has $10. The government says, hey, I'm going to add an extra 0. So now I have $100. Kevin still has $10. Government's like, fuck, I got 100. I'll pay up to 50 for that pizza because I want pizza and I'll still have 50 left. Then guess who can't afford to buy pizza anymore? Kevin. Mm-hmm. Kevin takes it in the ass, and there it is.
Fuck.
And I get all the pepperoni because I get to work in the Joe Government area here. And exactly. So that's the idea, right? That's how you lose on inflation. That's the simple, happy explanation. I don't know. I'm just saying, when they tax the shit out of you, you lose control. You lose decision power. Just like Kevin said with the AR-15s, right? If we do 100% tax on an AR-15, guess what? Less people are going to buy an AR-15. Or maybe you won't buy 7 or 8 of them, right? That sounds logical because now you can only afford 4. And that's a shitty world. I mean, who wants to live in a world where you can only own 4 AR-15s? Yeah. I mean, like, why even get up in the morning? That's when you just pull the covers over and are like, fuck it. No, I'm not doing that shit anymore. I'm done. And that's how it is, So, hey, you have to, take the world as it is. But that's how we're being robbed. And I just thought, you need to see the bigger picture. Now, it does seem like fighting our government is a hard battle. And by fighting, I don't mean going out with AR-15s and being crazy. What I mean is standing up and trying to defend your rights and liberties. And, just maybe saying, hey, look, I'm not going to take that. I'm going to vote the right way. Hey, it's not fair to pay all these taxes and take it, while we're laying down here. So that's all. That's where I want to be with that. Now, let me tell you, when you want to stand up to the government, well, wait a minute, I got one for you. So you're thinking, well, Chuck, I have 4 AR-15s. Well, maybe you still have 8 because we haven't implemented you're going to need magazines for all 8 of these AR-15s. And I've understood it to be that 7 magazines is the magic number you want for every gun you own. So if you own 8, 7 times 8, Kevin?
56.
56. All right. I knew it. All right. So 56 magazines sounds like a number that you might have for your AR-15s. Now, if you're buying 56 magazines, you're going to need to get the best deal because that's going to cost you, right? About $10 a piece. So if we can cut that down to $8 a piece,
that could make really a difference in your budget,
in our price point. That could make a difference. That could be like, now I have 56 magazines and a case of beer. Well, how am I going to do that, Chuck? How am I going to save $2 on magazines? Let me tell you. You're going to go to ammoseek.com. You're like, wait, Chuck, AmmoSeek, they just do bullets. They don't just do bullets. You want to find the best deals on magazines? Or maybe you're like, Chuck, you know what's really killing me is 50 cents a round. And I went to AmmoSeek and I got the best deal on 5.56 ammo, but I like the brass case. I'm a little bougie, and 49 cents a round is the best price I could find. I really need a better way. And I said, let me help you. Friend, let me tell you. 22 long rifle. 22 long rifle, you can change the bolt out. You can throw that in your AR-15, and you can go to the range all day long. AmmoSeek's going to have the 22 ammo cheap. And now, here's where AmmoSeek magazines comes into play. You're like, Chuck, the problem is those kits only come with 25-round magazines, and sometimes you can get the mistake kit and have it in 10-round magazines. What am I going to do? You're going to search in the magazines. You're going to type in AR-15 in the keyword. You're going to put in 22 long rifle, and you're going to have tons of selection. You're going to find the best price. You're going to get it down, and then you're going to be able to go out, hit the range, and kick some ass. ammoseek.com, that's what I'm talking about. It's going to make it so that you can go out with your limited budget and kick some ass. So I'm just saying, that's something you might want to be doing this weekend.
Sounds good to me. I love it. Prices are going up everywhere, especially on ammo. It's good place to go, and make sure you're actually getting the best price, the best bang for your buck. Now let's talk about times that Americans didn't like paying taxes. You know, we don't like paying taxes now, but we're not like the guys in the early years of this country that didn't want to pay taxes on whiskey. That was the first tax in the United States implemented by the United States government, and there's a whole fucking rebellion about it.
The Whiskey Rebellion? Oh, my Lord.
We've always been, the Whiskey Rebellion. We've always been people that didn't like paying taxes in this country, and somehow we just lost our edge, you know? We just started taking it up the ass and just laid down and took it. So, the whole country was really started by people being pissed off about taxes. So let's talk about the Boston Tea Party.
Oh, my favorite.
Chuck, what do you know about the Boston
Tea Party? Let me tell you about the Boston Tea Party. So it started out with, I want to say, the Stamp Act. And the Stamp Act came from the British government where they taxed paper, right? Is that the Stamp Act? I think it is. Anyway, whatever. Yep. If I'm wrong, go look it up and then tell me I'm wrong and I'll suck it. I don't know. Anyway, so bottom line is they were taxing everything they could put a stamp on pretty much. Playing cards, letters, newspaper, whatever. They were like, stamp, fuck it. Kind of like they're trying to do with my guns. Like you're like, oh, short barrel rifle.
Right.
You got to buy,
stamp.
You. Right. Stamp. And now stamps are $200. So, it ain't cheap. Multiple stamps for a gun. Get out of here. So anyway, I digress. Stamp Act. And then people were like, you know what? Fuck you. I won't do what you tell me. That's actually what they said. That was like a quote from the founding fathers right there. Then they said, well, all right, we're going to get rid of that. Because people were trying to find ways around it. And it turns out you can find ways around paper. So what they said is, let's do the Townshend Act. Townshend Act was where they taxed tea. And you're like, wait, I know something about tea and a harbor in Boston. Yep. We're getting in the right direction. This is around 1767, something like that. So anyway, they said, Townshend Act, we're going to tax tea, china, glass, things that are really hard to make for yourself and that are hard to pull off in the colonies, and things that you kind of can't do without. So people were kind of like, fuck you, I'm going to stop drinking tea. I don't even like tea. It turns your teeth brown. And no. So they kind of got like, well, we don't know. Now, here's where it gets tricky. They actually repeal the Townshend Act and they get rid of it. So you're like, well, so wait, they weren't taxing tea yet? But the problem is people had already kind of stopped drinking tea because they were like, fuck you, we're going to coffee. And they were sticking it to the man. So.
Because America.
Hair on your chest and, the whole thing. Right. So it's weird how we're so indoctrinated to the one over the other. It's kind of funny. But anyway, so then we had something that's actually going to cause the Boston Tea Party to come into effect called the Tea Act. Now you're thinking, the Tea Act, they probably just put a big tax on tea. That's what that would sound like. But what it did actually was said no tax on tea, but the British people would be the only ones who could import the tea, or the British company could be the only ones, because it actually was American ships that were on there. They put it in, and then the American guys were like, fuck you, I won't do it, you tell me. And they just said no. But the bottom line is, my point is, we weren't getting taxed shit back then, and they started a whole revolution. And now we're getting hammered, 5 ways from Sunday, and we're like, please, sir, may I have some more? And, it's just wrong. It's time to reflect and think back. I don't know. Think of how hard we're working. So anyway, I got this, taxes are too much. My point is, we don't need to revolt against the taxes and whatever. It's kind of already too late for that. We already missed that that ship. That ship has sailed. What I'm saying is learn to do for yourself. Learn to live off the land. Learn to barter and trade and provide as much of your necessities to both protect your family and protect what you have, protect your resources, your valuables, your whatever. And you do that by being self-sufficient. The less you're dependent on a government, the less control they have over you and the less they can tax and take away from you. If you kind of know the skills and know how to take care of yourself, then you can find ways to live a fulfilling and happy life without Big Brother far up your bunghole. Cell phones, right? Imagine if you could live in a world without a cell phone and how many separate taxes they put in there. You're paying like an extra 15 or 20 bucks a month just to the government to, have that line in existence, because I'll allow you to stare at your phone. Just give me a little more, Kevin, taxes, anything else, or you feel like we've covered it?
Yeah, let's do a quick run through here. The Panama Papers. That was 11.5 million leaked documents. They were published in the beginning of April 2016 by Bastin Obermeyer. Basically, what we figured out is that a lot of wealthy people were hiding their money so they didn't have to pay taxes. So Daphne Galizia, she was in Malta. She published all the people that were in Malta not paying taxes, and her car exploded. Ooh. So just heads up, you might not want to make rich people mad by letting everyone know they're not paying taxes.
Snitches.
ProPublica. That's right. ProPublica came out. That was basically it was the tax returns of several extremely wealthy people. For example, George Soros paid no federal income tax at all between 2016 and 2018. Average billionaire in the United States pays an 8.2% effective tax rate. So keep that in mind when you think about all the welfare moms. Jeff Bezos is really a welfare mom. So look into that stuff if you're interested. Now, there are a lot of ridiculous taxes throughout history, but one I want to talk about real quick was Peter the Great in 1698. This asshole put a tax on beards.
Oh,
ridiculous. Now, I'm glad we didn't live in Russia in the 1600s. It was kind of bullshit. Not interested in paying a beard tax. I'm not shaving it, and I'm not paying a tax on it. Just to put it out there for the federal government if they think about pulling some bullshit like that. Not going to do it.
Okay. That's the line.
Basically, what he did was he traveled to Europe and saw that everybody didn't have beards. So when he came back to Russia, he's like, "Yeah, we got to be more like those guys." So made it expensive to have beards. But really, what it did was it made people see how it was prestigious to have a beard then because it cost money. So the wealthiest people all had beards.
Does it backfire if everybody's paying? I mean, then you kind of are like, well, yeah,
no, it works out fine. Yeah,
I wanted to get rid of those beards, but
they're not like
sticking
it to anybody.
Bag of cash, and I'm down for a big bag of cash. All right.
But yeah, that's basically all I got here for today.
All right. So here's the excitement I got for the week. So we had the big OSHA recordable over at work over the weekend. So this was actually last weekend. So my job, I'm basically an electrician for a big factory, and I fix like machines that do scary machine things like you saw in your school videos in the 1900s or something, but instead we have safety gates, unlike back then. So anyway, I do one of the things that electricians do in a factory is they say like controls. So you have like Logix programs. What it is basically they path out how a machine's going to operate, and you can change it and make it do different things and tell it what safety things need to be implemented and whatever. And you go in and look at that stuff. So I'm sitting in the shop there the other day on Saturday, and we get this call. Oh, you need to come over to this machine. Come over to machine 10. And they're like, you should hurry. I'm like, all right, I don't know what that means, but okay, because I always hurry. I'm the symbol of efficiency, you know. So I grab my tools and we load up in our little buggy and drive on over, and we're like, hey, and half the plan is standing around staring, and we're like, well, what's this about? You know, I mean, I'm pretty good to watch, but you know, come on,
not that exciting.
No, not that exciting. So I go over, and sure enough, we have this a torque station that comes down and torques a bunch of bolts. Turns out there was a bolt missing, and this guy was like, you know, I bet I'm faster than that machine. And luckily, we added the obstacle of a safety gate. So obviously, the way around that would be to take a chair and set it next to it, stand up so you can lean over the safety gate, because that would only make sense.
Right.
And reach your hand in and get that bolt in. Well, it turns out he was not as fast as he thought. So the machine comes down and kind of pinches his hand in between, in between basically the base of the machine and the torque station. So we come up and we're like, what you got? And they're like, yeah, his hand's in there. We need to figure out how to get his hand out. And I'm like, yeah.
Okay.
So, of course, I'm like the only freaking, electrician, whatever, becomes my headache. So I'm like, all right, I got to go in and find out, because I don't know what the hell he did, like how he got to this, point. So I go in and I'm looking around, and I what's moved where and whatever. All right, I can handle this. Give me a second. Go over, look up, hey, what am I going to do to move this out? What needs to happen? All right. And then they're like, well, wait, we don't know how bad it is. We don't know if it's going to be one of those things where you lift it up and then blood starts spraying all over everybody and who knows what. Because we really just don't know. Right. The guy's wearing a glove.
Yeah, when people are pinched into stuff, you want to be careful about unpinching it, because who knows what's going to happen. Well, it might be just holding all the blood in.
I'm freaking out that, well, am I going to move it the right way? So the problem is, if I tell it to do something, now I can work around it in the logic, but typically if I hit a button to return something, it just returns all the way. Whereas if you can valve things where you just move the hydraulic valve and you can kind of control how fast. Now some are detented where if you hit the thing that the hydraulic valve, it'll go all the way also, but other ones will move slowly. Like as you press it, it'll go. So anyway, we work all that out. We have it ready. And they're like, look, wait for the medical people. Now we have on-site doctors at the factory I work at. So they are so apparently you can call the electrical maintenance people and not even tell them it's an emergency. And I can get there 5 minutes ahead of you. All right. If you're a doctor. I don't know how that is, because they're like sitting around with their head up their ass. So they come over and they're like, well, what do we do? And we're like, what? Wait, no, it's the other way. You're supposed to tell me what to do. And they're like, well, why'd you call us? And we're like, well, his hand's in there. You can see that. Well, yeah, but what are we going to do about it? Well, I'm like, all right, look, so I'm going to lift this up. His hand's going to come out. I don't know if it's bad. It may not be bad, maybe bad, whatever. He seems to be crying and about to go into shock. He thinks it's bad. But, hey, whatever. Maybe you want to get like a tourniquet. Maybe you want to have a backboard, because I know he's in shock. So you can kind of lay this guy down and carry him out of here and be ready to go. Well, I don't know. we don't really do this kind of, this is what you need to do to get ready. And so we're like arguing for like a minute. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to hit this button. And then I say, look, I have this, it's a real tight space. And I'm like, I have this computer thing here. You got your backboard. I'm pretty much standing on top of it. I'm going to fold this up and get out of the way so you can grab this guy and take him out of here. And they're like, well, you do what you have to do. You're kind of running this thing. And I'm like, no, that's kind of not how it should be at all. Dude, I have no faith whatsoever. So anyway, get this all worked out. We get the guy out of there. He goes off to the hospital. Everything's fine. Dude, he didn't even break the bones in his hand. I don't even know how, because it was all swollen and it looked like the claw, it was bad. But it worked out okay. Sure, they fired him because that's what we do. But aside of that, it was all good. But anyway, we get him out of there, and then the next day I come back over and I'm talking to the new guy who's operating the machine, and he's like, oh man, he goes, I saw you come over, and I was like, thank God, at least he knows how to fix things. And I'm like, but I don't fix hands, like what the hell, right? But anyway,
yeah.
So
that's what happens. Don't stick your hands in moving equipment.
I actually told you that story because can I tell you? Well, apparently there's 2 job opportunities that maybe some of you want to come out. Looking for a new job? I might know a place if you send me an email. One, they're looking for guys who can put bolts in things. That job might be open now.
Without getting their hand crushed?
Well, yeah, either way. But what I would also say is if you're that smart electrician guy who knows how to work on control stuff and you want to live where taxes are low and the cost of living is low and make a pretty decent salary, we might have an opportunity for you. So if you're some kind of an electrician and you're looking for an opportunity, then you may want to shoot me an email at preppingbadass@gmail.com. I'm just saying, there's openings.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I will let you know.
If you have
Fortune 500,
if you have show ideas, you can email us to the same email address, preppingbadass@gmail.com.
And with that, stay safe, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
The Survival and Basic Badass Podcast is a proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network.
Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With FishingBooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. FishingBooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to FishingBooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today.